let's jump into the charts, then I'll start talking again, because we're looking at this one bar chart here, and we'll get to a little finer granularity in a sec, but there's SpaceX for you. There it is. It's out. It's up at the moment 22% from the IPO price of 135. Yes, Elon is a trillionaire, as you've all heard. And the countless metrics that have been offered about what is a trillionaire, you know, including stuff like it would take 34,000 years to count to a trillion. It's like, who cares, honestly? So yeah, it's out, it's live. As I say, since it's been out for just a few hours, there's not much to analyze here, but we can go to finer granularity like so, and we can see data errors notwithstanding. Is there some jiggling and wiggling around all over the place? It's certainly having a good day. You know, it's not going to close at the high, I don't think, but it's, you know, certainly not a poor showing either. For myself, as I mentioned, as I'm sure is the case with a few of you, I'd signed up for shares. I asked for 1,000 because I figured it was kind of a sure thing. I was almost a little worried about like 1,000. That's $135,000. What if it opens weak? What if it just doesn't anything but sell off? But I kind of supposed, which was a correct supposition, that no, with an IPO like this, it's gonna go up, and it went up. I got 48 shares. You know, it's not nothing, but geez, guys, come on. I was 1,000. I got 48. I've heard from a lot of friends that got 1. So I'm not really sure where all the shares went, but it wasn't to me. So it's been a little disappointing, the allocation, how that was spread out. But I'm out. I've sold the entire 48 share position. And I'm done with SpaceX for now. Made a quick $1,300 or something like that. Bleh, it's done. But anyway, this is going to continue to loom large for a while. It's kind of like a half-life. It'll kind of diminish over time in terms of people's obsession over it. Monday will be like the IPO almost all over again, because like, well, now what? What's it going to do? As I mentioned in recent days, I've done a couple of SpaceX videos, the most recent of which was about the lockups and so forth. And there is this underpinning of buying that's going to go on for the next couple of weeks with respect to the big funds, like the Russell 1000 and the NASDAQ 100, buying up this stuff because they have to. And that's going to exhaust itself around exactly the same time that the public is allowed, without any brokerage penalty, to sell. And so what might happen, because there's this notion that like, oh, it'll just keep going up for the next 2 weeks. Not necessarily. What might happen is, yes, there's that buying going on, but there's selling overwhelming it because people are like, God, this thing is expensive. And the brokerage lockups and such, people are not going to care less and less, honestly. If this goes down, people will be like, what, I can't participate in IPOs for another 6 months? I don't care. I don't want to do this again. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Nobody does. But I would not be completely shocked if all this forced buying didn't necessarily push this thing into the 200s and the 300s and God knows what else people are thinking. So we will see. Anyway, glad it's done. It's been getting kind of sick and tired of talking about SpaceX. Here are the cubes, and let's look at a little more data on this. What happened over the past 6 or 7 trading days hasn't been changed because of this IPO. The trend lines are still broken. We're still below important gaps. We're still below important chunks of overhead supply. Plus, the table was laid out for this. Everything was optimized up to and including, let's put the war on hold so that they could have a grand splash, which has absolutely happened. There's no doubt this has been a tremendously successful IPO. You can't really argue with something coming out this high and still tacking on another 20-something% to the price. That incentive's gone as of the end of today. You can only IPO once, so that's just keep that in mind. XLK, just like the cubes, has its own busted trend line, has its own nice price gap. So unless these things blast through the gap and the trend line, those are important levels of resistance. I think the gap will stop it from even bothering pushing through the trend line, which is sort of a geometric truism, but there you have it. SMH, always important to keep an eye on this. This is the semiconductors. There's no gap on this one to bother with, but the trend line is holding beautifully. Yesterday, thanks to the 37th peace deal, there was a huge rally, and we've augmented that rally today, but we're still below the trend line. Now, the SMH could go up every day until the end of our natural lives and stay below the trend line. It's an ascending trend line. It doesn't mean, well, it's doomed now. It could keep climbing forever and stay beneath the thing. But the idea here is that the clean, effervescent uptrend has been interrupted. So it's still worth keeping an eye on the price obeying that as a level of resistance. Some stocks just don't care. I mean, there's just powerhouses that have resumed their powerhousey ways, like SanDisk, SNDK, lifetime highs on this, another 5% plus gain, and it's just muscling its way higher. What could possibly cause the NASDAQ to really turn? Well, if SpaceX does poorly, I'm not saying it's going to happen at all, but let's just say that, you know, we're presently in the 160s. Let's say that over the course of next week we get 150s and 140s, and people are like looking at each other like, what's going on? That could shake things up, because the longer term, I mean, you know, this is just one day. The longer term success and power of this instrument of SpaceX endorses future IPOs like OpenAI, like Anthropic. So it is a precondition of those other juicy items happening, which won't be nearly as big a deal as this IPO for lots of reasons. Plus, those business models aren't as good and varied and robust as the SpaceX business model. Well, how about other rocket companies? You know, for these many, many months, other companies that are kind of like SpaceX but a lot smaller have been doing great because people didn't have SpaceX to trade until today. How are those doing? Are they coming along for the ride? They should be, you would think. SpaceX is up over 20%. Well, not really. As I sort of guessed, once the real McCoy was out, the proxies aren't really necessary anymore, even though they're completely different businesses. So here's Planet Labs, down almost 10%. Here's Rocket Lab, down almost 10%. And there's already been big drops. I mean, it's not like they were lifetime highs this morning and fell. They've been falling for weeks, a couple weeks. It's still weeks. ASTS, down 15%. Well, that's pretty remarkable, you know. We were up here at, like 130s, and now we're, okay, it's lost about half its value. It's kind of a big deal. You know, AST Space Mobile has lost half its value in a manner of a couple of weeks or so. Kind of a big thing, I think. LUNR, which is Intuitive Machines, down almost 13%. I would also hasten to add that if SpaceX begins to weaken next week, these fellows are going to really start falling. They're not balancing each other. Any weakness on SpaceX's part will exacerbate the weakness you're already witnessing in these guys. And then you get to just plain dumb stuff like Virgin Galactic, which we'll all remember, blasted high in price based upon the notion that people would mistype the symbol and accidentally buy Virgin Galactic, which the premise is completely flawed. You've traded before. You don't just like type in a symbol and then it's done. You type it in, the name is presented, the price is presented, you punch in a quantity. I mean, even if you're so blinkered as you mistype the symbol, you're going to kind of catch on in a moment, like, wait a second, you know, $3, SpaceX isn't $3, or Virgin Galactic, SpaceX isn't called Virgin Galactic, whatever. There's no one dim enough to actually have done this, but the public at large was dim enough to say that, yeah, they might mistype it. And so we had this multi-100% price rise, and it's like, no, people aren't that dumb. And so it's lost most of that. It's just absurd. One of those things that, like, decades from now, they can, you know, could be another tulip bulb example about how silly people can be sometimes. Suffice it to say that with the exception of SpaceX, anything with a rocket engine on it is down today, and could continue next week. Okay, on to things that have nothing to do with Elon Musk. Emerging markets, EEM. Pretty cool chart here. This one likewise has a broken trend line, which we have for 6 days now steadfastly stayed beneath. And although this gap has been closed, this gap here has not. And so earlier today, I shorted EFA and EEM based upon those kinds of price failures. One thing I'm not going near is the small caps IWM, which today has a lifetime high and has not broken its own trend line at all. So that one's still fully intact, and here again, lifetime high on IWM. Precious metals are, wow, up just like 100%. Really, yesterday was kind of all they got. And this right triangle pattern is pretty potent. I would not be surprised if today was sort of it for gold's bounce. That's a really nice reversal pattern right there, even though it's already fallen a lot. It's been falling since late January. Silver SLV has its own price gap, although it's somewhat higher than this, and the pattern's not nearly as clean. Glancing over at my quotes, a little more than half are red right now. Some items I wanted to mention in passing are Cintas, CTAS, which is a company that until sometime like last year or so did nothing but go up. They make uniforms, you know, like nurses' uniforms and I guess police uniforms. I don't know what kind of uniforms they make, but that's all they do. They make uniforms. And their stock looked like NVIDIA. It was just like, did nothing but go up for years and for decades. And it seems to have kind of stopped that. And I've got a pretty big top on this, CTAS. Also short DoorDash, which is down a bit more than 3% today on an otherwise very green day. A new one for me here, shorted yesterday, is Serve Robotics, SERV, which has a pretty little massive overhead supply itself. And there's DraftKings, DKNG, which is off about 2.25%. And a pretty good day for Carvana. I've mentioned this one, I think every day this week pretty much. This is down again today, almost 5%. And it's getting very close to completing this diamond top. So I've got, those are my closest term puts. Those are September's, everything else is like next year. But yeah, Carvana's looking good. And then earnings were held last night for LUNR, LEN. And I've got January 2017 puts on this one, $100 strike. And these are down, LEN's down 4% plus. So that's good too. But in terms of SpaceX, I mean, the IPOs we've seen recently have done quite poorly post-IPO date. By no means am I suggesting SpaceX will anything like this, but I am just saying that if you look at, say, Figma, since it came out, this is sort of, I don't know if this is a SPAC or what, but basically nothing matters until here's the IPO date. It peaked on day 2. So that's been Figma, like so. And Cerberus, CBRS, this is the entire history of this company. And as you can see, pretty much grinding lower on an almost a daily basis. So emphatically, I'm not saying that's what SpaceX is going to do. I'm just saying that sometimes the IPO day is kind of all you get for a while. Finally, plain old, boring old spider, SPY. I know the market seems exceptionally strong right now, especially because of yesterday, but it's kind of broken. And keep an eye on that trend line. We've got a broken trend line. We've got price gaps here and there. We've got overhead supply. and we have the loss of incentive to pause the war. And but like I said, I'd love for them to sign the peace deal. Just like the IPO, it'd be nice to get that in the rearview mirror as well, kind of be done with it.